From deep in the Burbank Media District, it's time for another edition of My Burbank Talks, presented by the staff of My Burbank. Now, let's see what's on today's agenda as we join our program.
Hello, everybody. Craig Sherwood here again with Ross Benson.
Hey, I combed my hair. Oh, I cut my hair.
And once again, back from assignment, Craig Durling.
How was your plane flight?
I drove, actually.
Oh,
It was a lovely drive.
You get the little
to my
bag of peanuts?
Assignment.
Where were you?
I was in Palm Springs.
Oh, you don't fly to Palm Springs?
No, you could, I guess, but
Yeah, but
it was a nice leisurely drive. Very nice.
always enjoy watching the windmills.
Right. Yeah, and all the dead birds under them.
Yeah.
No, just kidding. Just kidding.
Well, I'm glad you're back. Special assignment.
Good to be
down there.
back. Thank you. Just doing a lot of work. That's taken me out of town this part of the year, so there'll be a couple more days where I'm going to be absent.
You mean I got to
Hopefully noticeably absent.
Well,
we noticed you being absent last week because I had to operate that all the time, and I had to talk at the same time, and I had a cough button I had up. Oh man.
Oh man.
But
man.
we got it all
It's a good
together.
thing. I'm good at switching the cameras because I don't do anything else. I don't really talk. I just
Mr.
do this,
Sherwood.
and I'm cheap.
Well, let's delve into the week that was and the week that will be, starting with, of course, the week that was.
The week that was.
Last Monday, we're just going to bypass that. On Tuesday,
There was nothing going on,
Monday
actually,
wasn't.
what he means.
last Tuesday, and hopefully you had a chance to listen to it or watch it, the mayor stopped by and did his podcast with us and told us it was the first time he'd done any kind of a live interview with anybody since his incident. I was impressed with his candid comments. You know, I spoke my time, Ross spoke his time, and the mayor gave his comments too. And whether you agree or disagree, I think it's great to have a conversation about something instead of accusations and ignoring and all those types of things. And we're going to be in a productive society. We have to respect everybody's opinion, whether we personally like it or not. And I will say one thing. I do respect him for coming on and sharing his opinions with us and his side of the story. I think it needed to be told.
And it's important that everybody hears it from him.
From him, in his words, without being edited.
Yeah.
You know, and he even said he took a couple of days to sit back, and he did agree, you know, we offer him his regular show here, and he felt it was fair to come on here. And, you know, like you said, Craig, people will agree to disagree and so forth. I've had, you know, texts and messages from people that didn't like the show, and that's their prerogative.
And once again, I
we
was
put it out there.
criticized for having too soft. My questions were too soft, and I'm thinking, you know, what did you want me to do? You know, I mean, I think every question was fair, and I thought it was very honest.
As evidenced by the entire situation, you're not going to please everybody.
Yep.
There's going to be different sides. There's going to be people that pick a fight with everything. So
Yeah,
the facts are out there. Interpret them as you wish and move on. Let's move on.
exactly. And we did not prep him in any way. We did not give him questions in advance. We just talked to him. So please give it a listen. It's on YouTube. It's on our podcast platforms, and I think it's worth listening to.
And Craig, kudos to you. The bit you did with the statements from the other council members that night.
Well, I
Stand
appreciate-
up you did. That was very well done. Good on
I
you
thought
for
that was something, you know, that, you know, everybody needed. Once it became part of a council meeting, to me, that became news then. And I think we need to,
I agree.
and national news. And instead of just hearing people's opinions, it's better to hear from the people who actually said what they said. So, okay.
Well, I think we'll talk about it when we talk
Yeah,
about
we'll
the
talk
next
about
week's
it
show,
for next week.
because there's stuff on the agenda
Right.
about that. So
So moving on, the rest of the week was pretty quiet up until Friday. And on Friday morning, Burbank police laid a memorial wreath for Officer Richard Kunkle, who was killed in a vehicle pursuit in 1961. So
now you said in the morning, normally your morning, but they did it in the evening. I know your schedule. Hey,
I was told they did it before you got there at 5.
p.m.
Oh, I thought it was 5 a.m.
Oh no, God, I wouldn't be up at that hour.
You wouldn't go to bed at that hour.
You're right. Normally I
But
don't.
the point is, this was a memorial
Okay.
for
It
a
was-
fallen officer. So
You know, Burbank BPOA acknowledges they had the honor guard out there. I believe I've seen pictures I wasn't there for those pictures, but I have seen online. Officers came out, stood to attention, and observed a moment of silence.
And they do this every year. For
Yep.
we have 5 officers who've lost their life. And they continue to remember them as they should.
We're coming up to November. It'll be 20 years for Matthew Pavelka.
Yep.
So.
Wow.
And then
I
actually,
remember the night.
in 1961, we actually lost 2 officers like in a 4-month period. So one on a motorcycle crash and one in a vehicle pursuit.
No more.
Yeah.
Okay.
No
Well,
more.
moving on. John Muir celebrated Japan Day. They do this every year, and this year the mayor from Oda, Japan, was in attendance. So Ross, why don't you tell us? You stopped by and saw some of the assembly. What'd you see there?
Well, the kids, they have to put on 2 assemblies for the whole kids. It's a full day event, but they ended in the afternoon with an assembly, and they have from the Rebun students, that's a high school in Japan that our kids are sister cities with. They bring a dance team and they perform some dances. They also brought, and I'm going to probably munch your name up here, I apologize, Yoka-sama.
Yoyoka.
Well, you skipped many opportunities to mispronounce things in the sentence preceding that.
Well,
I noticed. I'm not going to let that slide.
Darn.
I think it was Yasaki or Yasaku
Rebellion
dance
students,
and Yoyoko.
Yosakoi dance
performance.
and Yoyoka performance. Yoyoka Soma was drumming.
She was the drummer.
She's a
I'm
drummer.
not showing
and-
off. I was lucky I got all that out in one.
Well, I got to the assembly in time.
Excuse our pronunciations. We were trying and
We
not
do
trying
our
to be
best.
Disrespectful, and it was a great event. So,
But I want to say this young lady was on the Ellen show when she was 3 years old.
Wow.
Ellen brought her back when she was, I believe, 5 years old. She is now acknowledged by big rock bands, and her family has moved from Japan to Los Angeles. She has an agent here,
of course,
and she
and
is
she's on strike currently, probably.
she is one of the best known drummers. I know
Was it a performance by herself, or did she have other people? It's just her
just
by.
her drummer.
Okay, she had like a Sheila E. type thing.
Who? Who?
Sheila E.
Yes, just like Sheila E.
Just who recently
Yes,
had her star
exactly
on
the same
the
thing.
Hollywood Walk of Fame.
That's right.
And
Little 80s replay there, little 80s rewind.
and known as probably the top female drummer in the country. And
That's true. That's true.
started with Prince.
Well, besides
Where have I been?
Carpenter there,
Carpenters.
Karen Carpenter,
Oh,
also an excellent drummer. But
wow.
we digress. We're talking about one excellent drummer tonight.
I have trouble remembering.
Well, I just know when Sheila E. would do her performances by herself, she did a great job, and,
Well,
and
this-
that's what I'm saying. It's hard to captivate an audience with one instrument, especially just a drum, without really having
Right.
a great performance and routine.
Well, this young lady captivated the auditorium for 2 assemblies, and those kids were blown away. When she asked the kids, "Do you guys like rock music?" And she sat down at that drum, and they all started rocking.
Is
Was it recorded? Do we know? Is this online available?
I don't know.
anywhere?
Well, I don't know if it was recorded, but we will have the full report or full story in this week's My Burbank. Lisa has been
Excellent.
covering this for years now.
Yep.
And the neat thing about this, the way they finished the day, the John Muir teacher that has been teaching Japan and been the chair every year, he is over there teaching this year, and he said the farewell via televised back here, and he's there. So the kids here
Oh,
got to see him at their school.
wow.
Let's
So-
go ahead and drum. Is it a single drum she uses?
Full drum set.
Full, okay. A Neil Parth, the female Neil Parth. I know who's Neil Parth.
Oy vey.
Oh boy,
So
the departed.
That's
Neil
it. We don't
Parth.
feed you before the podcast anymore.
Oh,
All hepped up on a.
I've actually got my brain cells working.
but it's nice to see that our schools are friendly with our sister city. They exchange.
They do that every year at Muir
Oh, yeah.
too. And I wonder where they decided to start. And there's no other middle school or even high school that celebrates any of our sister cities like this. I wonder why
Right.
Muir started.
Well, Muir, I know, has a foundation for this. None of this is school funds. None of this is public funds.
Right.
This is all raised by parents and so forth. And it's great, just great to know.
It's a great cultural experience for the kids to see what, I mean, you're talking about a country that's very different from the United States, and their culture's a lot different. When I used to coach at Burroughs, every year I brought a team in from South Korea, and we had a doubleheader with them. And it was just amazing. We couldn't understand a word they said or us to them, but we understood the common word, the common language of baseball.
So the cultural value and the arts too, with the drumming and all that. Those are programs we're losing these days.
One time, one of their pitchers hit one of my batters. Just not on purpose, just it happens. And the pitcher walked off the mound toward the first base line. I'm thinking, oh, what's this? And he stopped, took off his cap, and he bowed to my hitter as he ran by, as to say, "I'm sorry." Which
Take
I
that.
thought, but I just they played hard. They're pretty good too. So I think it's really good when we can mix cultures like that.
That is
and
great.
People can see what goes on.
Even more important these days.
Yeah, and I tell you, I've covered it every year. The kids are really enthralled. I love watching the dozen kids from Japan. They introduce themselves. Quite a few of the kids, because they've taken Japanese here, so they know what they're saying. But they got to say what they like. This one liked pizza. This one liked McDonald's. So you got to remember, they don't have all that there. So it's kind of
right.
So it's great. We'll have the story up the next day or so, and with some pictures that I shot. And like I said, it's nice to see.
At myburbank.com.
That's right.
Well, not only did we have a Japan Day at Muir, but we also had Miller Elementary School celebrating their 100th anniversary.
Happy birthday.
That's an old elementary school.
Right. Ross, do you still have the pictures from when you shot the ribbon cutting?
No, but it was funny to see they had pictures all the way back to the groundbreaking. The PTA and some parents have really put together over 500 people. Now, a lot of people, Miller Elementary is attached to Miller Park, which is at the corner of Kenneth and Providencia.
Which is at one time was a playground for Miller Elementary School, which now the city is sharing with them.
Right.
And letting the community use the field also because we have a lack of park space.
That field was packed with people. I'd say over 500 people. They had some food trucks. They had their chorus singing of their 4th and 5th grade kids. They sang Happy Birthday. Teacher came back that used to teach here from the 70s to the 80s. That was kind of neat. And their mascot was out there. It was I think what is so nice.
Who's the Miller mascot?
Oh, I knew you were going to ask me something.
Oh, well, you brought it up, so
I will.
You thought you'd slide that one through.
Now, wait a second. Is this the Miller Elementary School in Burbank or the one in Oakland?
This is the one in Burbank.
Okay, because I saw it.
We haven't branched out that far yet.
I saw an article in a local newspaper talking about Miller Elementary one day, and they used a picture of Miller Elementary in Oakland.
Oh, I remember you brought that.
And not in Burbank. So I'm just hoping that we don't make the same mistake, and we're talking about a school 500 miles away.
Well, my brain today, because I did eat dinner before I came. What was the question?
Damn good cake too, wasn't it?
What was the question?
Who's the mascot for Miller Elementary that you brought up?
I could tell you.
What kind of an animal?
Well, and while he's looking that up.
Let's start off with what kind of an animal was it?
While he's looking that up on his brain machine, it was a wonderful dinner we had at Patty's in Toluca Lake this evening.
Corner of Riverside and Clybourne, and the owner stopped by. In fact, the owner gave us a couple pieces of cake just to thank us for.
He said because we were so nice to his serving staff that he was on his way to the trash can with them.
Well,
but he stopped by our table on the way.
He saw some heavy-set guys out there and said, they'll eat cake.
But if you're looking at a good local kind of family-owned place where the same staff is there every time you go in to say hello to you.
And he's owned it since the 80s, so he's not just some new guy there. Was it 80s or
90s, late 90s.
Late 90s, and he said his family
98
used to own. What was it here in the valley?
Lamplighter
Restaurant.
There you go.
So I'm glad Craig's
little Burbank history.
Hey, would you put food?
Is Lamplighter on your list of restaurants that are no longer?
Oh,
no. They weren't in Burbank.
Or wasn't Burbank?
That was on Van Nuys Boulevard.
Neither is Patty's. So.
Well, technically 50 feet.
50 feet. If you can throw a Cinnabon and hit the place.
And they make they make those daily in the morning.
It's in our
They
purview.
also bake their cakes there every day too.
They do. They make their own pastries and cakes and Cinnabons and everything.
You
There.
guys are getting
Okay.
to go. By the way, the Miller mascot
Yes.
is a Jaguar. And
Does he have a name?
Car?
oh, the Jaguar animal.
Oh, the animal.
Does he have a name?
Jaguar?
Okay. We'll call him
They
Jag.
call him Mick Jaguar.
We'll call him Jag for short.
Mick Jaguar.
I don't have a Jaguar sound effect for you, but
Grr. Meow.
But it was nice, and the teacher that I was trying to say taught from 76 to 79, Mr. Peter McBride, drove up from Oceanside to be at the event. They all sang happy birthday. Again, we will have a short story, actually a photo page. They drew pictures of, but it was neat to look at some of the people. And I will say that our mayor was there. His son did go to Miller Elementary, so he was welcomed there from the school principal. And Judy Henson did a great job. I will say, her and I talked, and she said, it's so nice to see families come out and, you hear the kids yelling and screaming and having a good time. And that's what we've missed for how many years. So
right. Moving
happy
on.
birthday,
Miller Elementary and
Okay.
Mick Jaguar.
And who's it's not just Miller Elementary. It's Joaquin Miller, isn't
That's
it?
true.
Okay. Don't forget about Joaquin.
This is true.
Moving on to the weekend. We had Family Pride in the Park event at McCambridge. That was originally scheduled for Magnolia Park, which we think was not a good venue for it. And
Magnolia Park and the Magnolia Park area is a business.
Yeah,
district.
Magnolia Park is a street, not a park.
This was the second annual.
Second annual, and they moved
Cambridge
to
Park.
Cambridge Park, and it was a great venue for it. I don't think we had a problem with the protesters as they
They did have a couple, but you know what? As Burbank Police, you'll see in the story, Burbank Police was quoting, they got to say their piece. They did not interrupt the day. The event had food trucks and jump houses and vendors and a stage and musical performers, and moving it to McCambridge Park.
the right place.
It is the best, fantastic place. They had a stage. They had porta potties set up. I mean, that grass area was made.
Yeah, as soon as I found out they were doing it there, I thought that's perfect venue.
Yep.
They
for
said
it.
they hired a whole bunch of private security too,
They
so
had-
there was no problem.
Burbank Police was well prepared, but nothing happened, and that's what Burbank Police is supposed to be anyway.
Well, they kept
prepared.
it. They ensured it would be a safe event for everybody to attend.
Well, it was
which
the
is-
chief's decision, and the director of public works, the Parks and Rec people helped them. There were we've gone to events like the runs that we do in Johnny Carson Park. The park people who were getting paid by the Pride people, picking up the trash and doing stuff. I mean, it's a place to be. It was really a very well attended event. We'll have a story that up online here, I think.
And we have a lot of events at Johnny Carson Park. It's good to have an event up on the hill area anyway, just at different
Absolutely.
locations. So
for sure.
So kudos to them and to the planners in the city, and for the people that attended.
We'll look forward to the third annual.
I was going to
Family
say,
Pride.
look forward to the third annual next year.
Well, it's nice to read. I read the writer's kind of notes, and you'll see in her story where some family members have talked about their kids, that it's an event that they can go to and feel safe
Mhm.
with the kids without whatever. So,
Absolutely.
As they should be able to.
yep. So that's about all. I think we then get in. That was from the weekend.
Now we got a little more.
Oh,
We're going to talk about the class of JBHS class of 1988 had
guess
their
I'm supposed
reunion
to turn the page.
Turn page.
at the
I missed that.
Veterans
Turn
of Foreign
page.
War. And they had their event there. I know we didn't cover it, but congratulations to all those. That'd be 35 years.
Yeah, I think so.
35 years.
There you
Now,
go.
that-
Look at
remember-
you with a quick math.
Oh,
He did that good without taking his shoes off real quick.
Right, thank God.
But you know what? Debbie Dodge texted me. Debbie Dodge used to write for us. Debbie Dodge graduated the class of 88 from Burroughs. She wanted me to come over and attend. She had a busy day. She came into town for one day, and they put it on a VFW. They had a taco truck there. The bar was rolling. They had a DJ working, and I'm told that they didn't want it just for the class of 88. Anybody could have showed up. and had a good time. And she kind of got back to me. I saw her pictures online, and everybody had a good time. People want to get back together, especially people that
Right.
live local.
Well, later that night, we had ourselves the Burbank International Film Festival. Actually, that was on Sunday night. They had the final
At the red carpet.
final festivities, and they honored Tim Burton on the city called. The mayor did a proclamation for Tim Burton Day, and I shouldn't say the city did because the mayor does the proclamations.
And we're going to have a picture of it. I wasn't allowed to shoot it, but I'll tell you.
Yeah,
It
was so
you
high.
sure that's not Ross's rant at the end of the show?
It was so high security they wouldn't even let our photographer or our reporter go in
Right.
and see any of the
Security was so
ceremony.
tight, no one could go inside.
And we had Tim Burton there, and nobody else.
Well, there was no room inside for Tim Burton and his security
Yes, he had.
cadre, so nobody else was allowed in.
So
Well, I'm glad to say that our PIO's office, under the direction of Jonathan Jones, he had Brianna there, and she got a picture of the mayor presenting the proclamation to Tim Burton, and we have a picture of the proclamation, which will be in the story. I think Devin is doing a 21-part story. No, I'm sorry, 2 or 3
yeah,
parts.
Devin attended. She said 3 days of it, or she said she was going to attend 3 days of it. So don't know if she did or didn't, but
No, I know she.
You have to wait for the story.
I'll wait for the story. It'll be out within a day or two.
Yeah.
It's what we call a tease in the business.
But we also forgot that was on Sunday. Craig, I know you must not have won.
No, but I didn't find this out till Sunday because the drawing was on Saturday night.
Oh,
But one person in the big super, this was the Powerball, right? The Powerball, $400 billion drawing. One person in Burbank actually had a ticket that won $5 million. And it was
5. Don't we have a ding, 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 ding,
And
ding?
they have yet to come forward.
No, not the cash.
Is that before or after taxes?
That's way before taxes.
Oh.
Well, God, I got to put my tooth in. Wait, all right, my tooth. Oh,
They wanted
It's in.
Thirsty Liquor on Glen Oaks and San Jose.
All right.
yeah.
I'm not sure what the liquor store gets for that. I know on mega drawing winners, they usually get $1 million.
They get something, and I think it's usually customary for the winner to give them a gift as well. And I understand nobody's come forward yet, but I will take this opportunity to let you both know this will be my last podcast on this network.
We know you were out of town, so we know you didn't drive in.
And I came back, so
But you know what? You watch on the news all these little towns, where somebody buys that winning lottery ticket or somebody wins. Burbank's on the, on the map now as
Right.
a successful place to buy your. And if you're wondering, that Thirsty Liquor is right across the street from Domino's. Pizza.
and
No,
pizza
No,
makes
no,
you
no,
thirsty.
that's not the pizza one.
You're right.
Okay.
now
Well,
don't we get to hear that custom voice that
We
we
get to
love
yes, we do.
so well?
Get to
we're
hear,
gonna take
hear
a-
that spectacular velvet
We'll take a quick commercial.
voice again.
We'll be back with you in about 30 seconds.
How would you like your business advertised in this very spot? My Burbank Talks is looking for local businesses interested in a 30-second spot to appear in our podcasts. If you're interested, please email advertising@myburbank.com, and we'll be glad to discuss all the exciting possibilities with you. Now, back to our podcast.
Okay, Craig Sherwood back with you, along with Craig Durling and
Ross
Benson.
Benson.
And going to be the week that will be.
Was that like 9:25 today?
9:25 today.
As we record this on the 25th
Yes.
of September,
And for,
2023.
I believe for the second time this month, the Planning Commission meeting was canceled.
I saw that.
There's no planning going on. We're just going to take it as it comes, I guess.
Maybe they overplanned.
It might have overplanned. No SB 35 projects don't need city approval anymore, so why?
But I had a little birdie tell me Kmart might turn into something someday soon.
A parking lot?
A shelter?
No, all those businesses are moved out.
They ran them all out of there.
There, yep.
And what's your little birdie tell you they might be?
That little birdie told me you might see some residential units in there
There
somewhere.
we go. SB 35 project?
Nope.
No.
Nope.
Oh.
A by right project.
A real project that actually has city
Let me
zoning.
guess, multi-use?
I don't think
Residential over commercial?
No,
Is
I don't
that
think
everything
so.
nowadays?
Yeah.
I would think it has to be in that area.
It would.
I would think so,
Prime.
because that is a business type
Oh, it's
area.
corridor.
So I would think they would have to have a bottom floor of retail.
And I think I had reported here the toasted bun. I beg your pardon. I didn't.
Need sunscreen.
The toasted bun was moving into Harry's.
A toasted bun? Is that for a cheeseburger?
Cheeseburger.
Well, you do toast your buns for
Yeah,
cheese.
yes, you absolutely you do. Absolutely, and you never put
Remember where that line is from?
that's from Saturday Night Live.
Saturday Night Live.
John
It was a
Belushi.
parody on a burger joint.
Yeah,
The Paramount Cafe or restaurant on Charles Street in Boston, right around the corner from where I went to college. And I've eaten at that place.
Now,
And little known fact for the morbid out there, it's on the ground floor of, I think, a 3 or 4 story. Yeah, I see you pointing on the wide shot.
I'm seeing the white shot, but I don't see you in that.
I'm on the wide shot. Don't
who's
worry.
directing
You
here?
let me
Who's
push
our
the buttons
director
here. But the top floor of the
Direct one
building
office, though. No,
at the Paramount Deli or Cafe, I might be getting the last word wrong, was, I believe, the last stop of the Boston Strangler.
Oh,
So there you go.
Wow.
Boom, you get a twofer in one building,
Yeah, look at
history-wise,
that.
right? But that's
Very
where that's
interesting.
from. Sorry to derail the entire thing.
no, but
That's why I'm here.
worthless information is always
Right.
good
Now
information.
I can learn new information. I've made
Yes.
room by getting rid of that. Sorry,
How
where
do
were
we
we?
go on from there?
Where were we?
Oh, we're at Monday
talking
night.
about
How did we get here?
You're talking about the toasted bun. What did you want to say?
Oh,
about the
that's
toasted
right.
Bun was going to go into where Harry's was,
Yeah.
but I have recently also heard from a different birdie, talked into the other ear, that the property owner sold.
Said to hell with it.
Well, I don't know if he said the hell with it, but he sold the parking lot and everything to somebody else. And I don't know what we're going to see in there.
So
That's
this was all for
335.
I don't think so. That's a restaurant. I don't think they can do that.
Oh, they can do it. Oh, SB
Yeah, they
35.
can.
They can do whatever they
I
want
think
to
they
do.
should put a drive-in theater.
Wait, that's on the agenda. Hang on. You're jumping ahead.
No. Those are drive-through restaurants, not
Oh,
theaters.
No, drive-by? What? Wait.
No. Not in Burbank.
But there is, I noticed today, coming to the studio, Olive is screwed up.
The street.
The street.
Olive Avenue. Nope. No offense
Olive
to
in
anybody
San
named Olive.
Fernando.
Okay.
They're apparently doing some construction. The cement is being cured or paved,
This is Olive in San Fernando.
and you're reduced down to one lane. And I'll tell you, that's a busy intersection.
I would
Or-
stay away from that, from Olive between First and Glen Oaks,
Yeah,
if
if
you
you
possibly can.
Sneak over to Magnolia because it's you can't get through right now. So
Well, we're going to move on till tomorrow, which is Tuesday. And, of course, we have our city council meeting at 6 o'clock.
Here we
And they're
go.
going to do it with the police commission. I'm not sure. Once again, the police commission has any say-so in anything. You know, we're talking about encrypted radios. You and I were, and the police commission knew nothing about it. So
I believe I saw the agenda.
no policy about things like that.
I did see the agenda, and I think there are a couple of things that the police commission is bringing up that they have written to the council.
Well, let's hope
And
it's
this is a good time for them to bring it up.
yeah. Well, like I said, I'd like to see them bring up policies as the encrypted radios that we can no longer listen to their frequencies anymore, and we have no idea what's going on in this police department on a daily basis.
Well, I have heard that
Okay.
it is going to be brought up
Okay. Well,
by an
you know what?
elected official.
We will give them an opportunity, you know, because I think having a blackout of the news media is not a good thing. I think if you want transparency, then we should need to be able to listen to what's going on. And not that we're out to get anybody or attack anybody, but I think it's hard for us to know what is news, what is not news, instead of waiting a week for them to tell us something. So that's my opinion and my opinion only. So at the council meeting, we're going to have the council is going to vote to raise their salary from $1,547.99 a month up to $1,625.39 a month. I think it's a 1.5% raise, and they will still keep their $250 a month car allowance. And I have no problem with that. It's not like we're making millionaires at City Hall. They always go to Thirsty Liquor if they want to buy a ticket.
Have I been dreaming or having a nightmare? Did we discuss this
Well,
on a podcast before?
yes,
That it was coming up. I'm not sure.
Right.
Are they voting on it this
well,
coming
no,
meeting?
it has to be read twice.
Okay.
This is the final reading. This means now this time it's adopted.
Okay. I thought maybe that bite of cake that I was.
They're going to also approve a contract. They're going to start replacing a lot of water pipes. So we have a lot of water pipes that are 100 years old or older sometimes.
That's good. Infrastructure.
But water
Work
pipes.
on the infrastructure.
So expect down the line in the next few months to have construction on Magnolia from Victory to Catalina, the Upper Country Club Drive, and on Hollywood from Burbank to Victory. So you're going to have a lot of street work going on in the next few months, and they're replacing water pipes. So that's what they're doing.
Did you read the staff report on that?
I read
3 words.
yeah.
Well, the other 4,
Well,
5th,
I read
and
enough
7th
to
word?
find out the
The other
location.
37 pages.
Well, I read the whole thing. Our pipes in Burbank are freaking old. They're older than you and me. I mean, they've been in the ground since 1920s.
Oh.
And you know what? That's a lot of stuff going through them. And honestly, you drive around LA. Well, there it goes.
Wow.
Yeah, he had that preset. I don't know how he did that.
He was quick with that one.
But I'll tell you,
I think he keeps that one handy.
well,
With us?
don't
Yeah.
do that.
With your potty mouth, we have to.
I was going to, well, don't do that too much because I'll have to take a break in a minute.
Right. Don't give him any ideas.
But I was really surprised. And in the report, it says these pipes are decaying and getting old.
Well, this is what the money is supposed to be spent on. Maintaining the infrastructure, upgrading the infrastructure.
That's what the city of Los Angeles is learning right now. They didn't.
Right.
They haven't been
Well,
doing it, and their pipes
then
are
you have
floating everywhere.
Water main breaks and sinkholes.
Yeah.
And repairs are always more costly than maintenance. So
And paying all that overtime.
money well
and-
spent
yeah.
as far as I'm concerned.
So that is, you wonder, you hear the council doing their thing. You hear us talking about it. To keep the city functioning,
Yep.
There's a lot going on.
This is what they're all here for.
We're also going to receive. They're going to receive a grant to continue doing DUI checkpoints next year. That's so when you hear about checkpoints, that's that is not paid by Burbank Police or the city. It's funded.
Normally, grants funded through the Office of Traffic Safety.
Yes, it is.
They run all,
And
they,
I
they
had
run and
heard-
coordinate all the checkpoints in the state.
They used some of their previous grant money Saturday night out on the roads of Burbank after the Pride Festival. The motors, I think all of them were out on special patrol that night doing speed racing, and they captured. Well, that grant came into good use. They impounded a couple cars. They wrote citations for going over 100 miles an hour on San Fernando Road. People, that's what are killing people.
That's right.
And when you see them out there impounding cars, that's what they should be doing.
And these grants, especially from OTS, they fund the personnel, the time, the salary to pay them to do it, equipment that's needed, certain equipment. You give them a list of things you need, like for equipment to run the DUI checkpoints.
Well, I saw in the
It takes a lot of
report.
equipment to do that, and the Office of Traffic Safety will approve those things through the grant, and it can be used for directed patrols, like with the motors working after that event, because they were all there anyway.
Yep.
So let's go ahead and deploy them and do something,
You don't see them
focused.
because we always talk about a DUI checkpoint. But on this one,
all kinds of stuff.
unless you were driving down San Fernando Road, you won't see them, but they were all over. But you're right, Craig. And I don't know if these are matching funds or just total out
No.
from they aren't.
Typically not. Now, the grants can be worded different, but in my experience with OTS, you get approved for a certain number of. It's actually required. You have a minimum number of DUI checkpoints you have to do in a year. Directed enforcement, roving DUI checkpoints, speed. The click it or ticket stuff. That's normally all done
In
through
fact,
their funding.
You're right. I read in the report a couple of new printers
Mhm.
for the officers out in the field, a couple of new officer sighting books.
Yep.
Stuff for the DUI trailer they needed to replace.
Right.
That stuff is out there. If people don't realize.
And it needs to be replaced too. I remember we'd order. It takes a couple hundred traffic cones to set up a DUI checkpoint, lighting for safety, signboards, all kinds of stuff, and you have to pay everybody to be there to do a successful.
And I know
checkpoint.
Burbank
Sometimes you need a minimum number of people to run one successfully.
They have a couple of Burbank officers that have been doing videos, and I know they're doing that on their own time or on overtime, and that's where they're crediting the money coming from is, again, the Office of Traffic.
Yeah, and that's all approved through OTS. Anything you're basically every penny you're going to use or the department is going to use from the grant is all approved from the Office of Traffic Safety.
So it's money.
They can't just spend it willy-nilly, but it's all approved.
Well, what else we have? We have and once again, some construction coming up on both the Olive and Magnolia Boulevard overcrossings over the I-5 freeway. They're going to start doing some pedestrian safety railing and deck improvements, kind of the way Burbank Boulevard is. So it looks like they're going to probably raise the railings up and stuff so that, to stop, the unfortunate situation when you might have a suicide or something, or somebody wants to jump off. It's going to be a lot more difficult because right now they don't have very high fencing on either one of those two bridges.
If I recall reading that, they're bringing in a consultant to tell them what they have to do to meet there are legal requirements now.
Right, but that's in the planning process now to fix those two bridges.
A lot of people, very seldom people get into City Hall. And that railing going up to the city council chambers was only so high, and they had to put on an extra foot to make it legal.
I know back in the day when I used to have my Schwinn Stingray, and would ride
that with a banana seat.
Yeah, it was a banana seat and the big handlebars.
Did you have the tassels coming off the grips?
No, but I had baseball cards in the spokes.
So it sounded like a dirt bike.
Oh yeah. So
was it a sissy bar?
No, not a sissy bar.
I don't think we can call it that anymore.
No. And but I had the big handlebars because I had a paper out back then. Anyhow, I would remember riding up to uptown Burbank and over one of the bridges and on the sidewalk, and I used to say. Remember when the sidewalk was narrow? It's not a full-size sidewalk.
It's still narrow.
Well, exactly. And number two was I would look and I said to myself, God, if something I were to slip, I would go right over the side of the railing here. That it was just not tall at all.
The bike would be okay, thank God.
Yeah.
But for guys like you and me, that sidewalk is, you can't walk two people next to each other.
It's not safe. It really isn't. So
I don't know how many people have actually ever walked over the Magnolia or the Olive overpass. Not only scary when you're at the top looking down at cars going by.
It's a long way up.
Well, actually,
you are right.
If you walk up the Olive overpass and you take that elevator,
you're going to be stuck.
Well, then you're really stuck.
You better plan on being there.
You're safe because you're trapped in an elevator.
But I remember
no
going
air on
up
a hot
there.
day.
Ooh, that would be bad.
Ooh, yeah. No, the bridge, and they've talked about this for years. So again,
glad they're moving on it.
Caltrans chip in on that at all?
No.
I know it's a city street going over.
But it goes over. But they
didn't know if it had any.
It's funny.
I think Metro. They're looking at Metro money because of the bus thing coming up. But I'm not really sure on the funding.
And it's kind of funny because it's over a freeway, Caltrans.
Yeah, but it's not a state highway.
But when they talk about repairing the bridge, that brings up Caltrans.
Yeah, but
because they have to be fault.
But you know what? If they never would put that stupid freeway there, then we wouldn't have had to put a bridge there. So it is their fault.
If they didn't put that dag-blamit freeway through there that goes all the way through the country.
Sounds like Jed Clamp.
You kids, get off my lawn.
Okay, what else do we have here? They're going to have approval of funding agreement with the County of Los Angeles for implementation of the city's 5-year homelessness plan. I'm not sure if we're just being thrown a bone here because.
Wait, was that in the script?
Yeah.
Thrown a bone?
It's in that really long paragraph.
We're going to get thrown a bone here because.
Thrown a bone.
Because it's not nearly as much money as the citizens of Burbank are paying to measure H, and maybe we're just getting a little something here. But and once again, I don't mind a 5-year plan because at least a 5-year plan is realistic. Let's not talk about Burbank 2035 and what the housing and homeless and everything else in the Burbank 2035 plan is, because that's just, it's by the time we get to 2035,
everything's changed.
Everything has changed.
Wait a minute. 23, 24. So in 2028 is when that time runs out. We might still be doing a podcast by then.
We might still be doing this podcast.
I hope we're still alive by then.
Will not have left this room. I tell you, we can't load up on sugar before we record.
Here's another thing too. They're going to lease. I found this a little bit interesting. They're talking about leasing 190 parking spaces at the courthouse at Angelino and 3rd Street to provide parking for the office building at 250 East Olive.
The one that hasn't paid their rent.
The unpaid rent of this place is $597,000. They're that far behind in rent, but they're going, "Oh, we had a pandemic, we can't afford to pay," and they want the city to forgive about $200,000 of it, and they'll pay $377,000, and they're going to cut down from $80 a month a space to $52 a month for each space. So
so they're not going to pay $52 a month.
You know, so yeah,
they don't pay what they're currently.
You know, so we're going to give them a nice big break to rent out parking places at the courthouse.
Well, are we? Did they vote for that, or?
Well, that's in the agenda.
Oh, that's coming up in the week that will be.
The week that will be.
The week that will be.
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow night.
If you recall, and I know people have conniptions about it, that office building at 250 East Olive used to, once it was built, was a Cusimano building, and they sold it many, many years later at the current rate, and the city made, I don't know how many millions in tax dollars. They got it for $1, and then they built it, got it filled, and then they sold it, and the buyer had to pay tax to the city. So, but if you think about it, parking spaces during COVID were left empty.
So why are we reducing the price now?
Well, it sounds like they're asking for a discount. But so the city owns the parking structure?
Yes.
That's what this
they only want
implies.
to pay $52 now instead of $80.
Yeah, we're not. Also, not only are we not going to pay you all of the rent we owe you, we want a discount on the parking spaces. Rent. Yeah.
So I guess the pandemic is over, from what I understand, and everything is back and booming. So I'm not sure.
Well, and what kind of gets me, if you think about it, the parking lot on the west side of the Olive Overpass, the Metro lot, we have dingle-dangled and played with that damn parking lot for how long? And they were going to put a meter out there, you know, they're going to charge for it. And we've been dingling and dangling about that, where we could collect money.
From what I understand, our one homeless person is back and camping again in that parking lot again.
I wonder if he's paying $55.
Yeah.
$52 a month for that space?
It just kind of gets you.
I understand why the city's not enforcing their 72-hour law or their no parking from 3 to 5 a.m. law. Or
it's like Forest Lawn Drive. The longer you let it go, the harder it's going to be to get it back to the way it was.
And now once one person's there, another will show up, and another will show up, and all of a sudden we'll have a entire encampment there in the Metro lot.
I'm curious from the city side, because I remember a couple years ago they were talking about that parking lot, and that was going to be the first one that they charged for.
And it worked out to do Magnolia Park second, and all the city parking structures.
Parking study.
Right.
But then they're going to do the parking structures and downtown, put meters downtown.
Right.
We're going to be...
What's happened?
Again, we're going back to 8 years. Or it's going to be 5 more years.
And from what I understand, the pandemic is over. So it's not like, well, the pandemic, no.
No, but the new one is coming right around the corner here, so...
That's too long an excuse. The pandemic is becoming an excuse now for not following up and doing things now. It's like, okay, we all understand. We all went through it. But from what I understand, it's over now. Even the United States government said it's over.
Everybody back to work.
Except for the actors.
For them, too.
All right, let's move on to the Burbank Bus, your favorite thing.
Burbank Bus. I told you earlier, I actually saw a Burbank Bus.
Did I just hear him wait a minute.
I actually you're going to complain about him stuttering?
I actually saw a Burbank bus today with 3 riders on it. I was shocked.
Including the driver?
Not including the driver. So 3 passengers on a Burbank bus today.
Wait a minute. I've been told they have done cutouts and put them in the window seats.
So they can use the carpool lane?
So are you sure?
Yeah,
those were human beings?
Anyhow, they want to have the first Burbank Bus Free Fare Day promotion as part of the California Clean Air Day on October 4th. And of course, most of the the trains and everything else, they ride free that day, and Burbank wants to forgive the $1 fare because $1 is way too much to spend on a Burbank bus as it is. And
it's a gesture.
It's a gesture. They think a lot more people will now take the Burbank bus that day if we don't charge $1. Hello, wake up, people. This is a waste of our money. This entire bus system is a waste of Burbank money. When you have the Metro, what's the Metro thing now? It's a Metro quick little ride thing they do.
Oh, Metromed. Metro.
No, Metromed was a place on Stanford now that used to sell sell medical supplies.
Metro.
Now it has a green cross in front of it.
Yeah.
Metro
Dash or something. No, it's anyhow. This Metro thing they have costs $1 and will take you about anywhere in town also. So why are we duplicating a service that's already there? And we run these big buses around town and spend all this money on maintenance and buying buses and everything else. I know there's grant money involved for Metro, but you know what? Until we have something that fits the needs of Burbank citizens, like a trolley around town, things like that, we're just kidding ourselves. Nobody's riding this damn bus.
So It's not about the dollar for you.
No, it's not about the dollar. It's about the entire waste of. I don't care if they're electric or methane or whatever they are. It's just a waste of.
Do they have bathrooms on those buses?
You'd think so.
Well,
No,
I'm just curious because I think we should go on a field trip, get on one of those buses, all three of us. That'd give them 3 riders, pay the $1. That'd give them $3. But I can't.
Not on October 4th.
That's right. If we did it that day, but my problem is, if there's no potty on that bus, I can't go for too long.
Right. You have to get off at every stop.
We'll just pick you up on the way back.
It'll be one of those on and off buses like around London.
Anyhow.
Wow.
Anywho.
We did see Eating Dinner tonight.
Boy, oh boy.
How many?
Whose idea was that?
How many buses?
Anyway, let's not eat dinner in the middle of the night after. Notice there's more more restaurants open in Burbank area before we record
Absolutely.
than after.
But how many Burbank buses cruised by?
I didn't see any go by.
Well, there were a couple.
The other night we were.
Did you say?
We saw 4 buses in probably a 40-minute period the other night, and with one person on all 4 combined. So, and that's going to the Metrolink station in North Hollywood, which is supposed to be their big route.
Right.
Yeah,
I hear it's beautiful there this time of year.
Well, looking at the clock and how long we have spent on buses, this is going to be our favorite topic.
Well, of course, this is the they're having the police commission at the meeting also, which they're going to have to sit through that entire. Well, that's all
consent agenda.
Consent agenda items, which they just read it off and I'll say, yeah, okay, do it. They don't explain it; they just say, do it. We're going to have a report from the Office of Independent Review Group monitoring the Burbank Police Department.
How many pages was that report?
76.
76 pages, and I think I skimmed through most of them, but I think Ross read every one of them.
Did say up the other night.
And now he'll read them to us word for word.
No, after before.
There was not one word about encryption on the radios or anything else, so that's not a. I guess because this is a past report.
Well, if it was in there, you wouldn't be able to see it because it would be encrypted.
Yeah.
Well, you know what really got me the other day? I noticed somebody put out. Apparently, there was some call on Keystone, and somebody said, "I heard on the police scanner that it was a big fight in a residential." And I said,
"No, you didn't."
How did you? Was that you? I said,
maybe on Burbank Boulevard in North Hollywood, where you can listen to LAPD.
Well,
radios.
I said, you have a scanner that you heard that from Burbank Police? I'd like to know. I'll give you a couple of bucks
one of
for that
those
scanner. Well, I haven't heard back from that person yet. Everybody goes to this neighborhood or what's the other app? And last week somebody put out
the Next Door.
Next Door.
Yeah.
Burbank Police 911 operator reported. I don't know how they're hearing this, folks.
Yeah,
because encryption means,
and that's the problem we're having as news media.
The encrypted thing.
Yeah, that encrypted thing means
nobody
cannot hear what they put.
And that's the problem we're having as news media. We can't say to somebody, "No, that didn't happen. Here's what happened," because we don't know either. We don't know what's going on. We don't know which calls are. You know, if something were to happen in a like we had the recent tropical storm, Not one word was put out by Burbank Police that entire weekend, or the city.
Or the city.
You know what? It was on the weekend.
Well, I guess that's an overall communication problem with the city, right?
Yeah, but at least in the past, if there were fires or something, or especially brush fires, people turned to My Burbank to find out information. Well, guess what? Not anymore. We're going to be in the dark just like they are.
Not from Burbank PD.
No, we can have Burbank Fire, and we can listen to CHP. We can listen to sheriffs. We can listen to LAPD.
You can't listen to sheriff anymore.
The sheriff go encrypted?
But LAPD is not.
And Glendale PD.
Sheriff's not encrypted?
I think goes encrypted next week.
October 2nd.
Yeah. Well, I didn't want to hear anybody in Glendale anyway.
You won't.
Well, it's something that they need to straighten out and figure out, because the citizens of Burbank aren't getting, the news that they should have.
Yeah. It turns into the Burbank.
Well, if you're going to do that,
police
go encrypted. You better be prepared to provide important information quickly and accurately, and through other methods.
Well, you are correct, and we are finding, there has been a change of PIO officers. The current PIO works. He sent us his schedule.
Public Information Officer is a PIO.
Monday through Thursday. 7:30 to 4:30, or 7 to 5, I believe. He's off on Friday, so if something happens Thursday night, we don't get it until Monday.
No. Yeah, Monday, exactly. Yeah.
We have to wait till the next week.
Wait 3 days.
Okay, to me, that is not reporting in a.
And this is not the officer.
Well, but when the
this is not the officer's fault either. I mean,
they have their marching orders, but I think when there's no PIO on, the on-duty watch commander essentially becomes the PIO.
Correct. And last week I called Friday night when I was at the Muir event. Somebody shared a text with me from Burbank High that they were having a foam party, and apparently some kids from Pasadena and Glendale showed up to start some fights. And apparently the principal called Burbank PD, and by the time PD got out there, I asked the watch commander. He said everybody had dispersed, and the principal kind of did it as a precautionary.
And that's fine then, but when a big event happens, for God forbid an officer involved shooting or something, the watch commander goes out in the field. He doesn't stay at
No, not anymore. They used to, but he's too busy.
Okay, but he's
phone
too
calls
busy.
Go to the records clerk, and I've explained that to the chief. They are too busy in the station.
Right.
They have the jail to worry about. They have communications to worry about. They have a lot under their plate. And for them to handle media questions, they can't do it. So they don't answer the phone.
And that rings down to records.
Yeah.
Who don't have any answers.
Well, right, because they say the watch commander's busy.
Right.
They said the whole reason they had to encrypt was because of the California law that says you have to keep information, but they've always had a channel on their radios that has been encrypted, so you don't run birth dates and personal information of people. It's been that way for years, which I agree with. Now, I will say this. If LAPD and most departments all of a sudden go encrypted, you're going to see our media, our big media people, our news stations, everybody else, probably get together and sue or something.
Well, that's what it's going to take.
Because they don't care about Burbank going encrypted. They just don't. They don't cover Burbank. They don't care. But when all of a sudden they can't get news from LAPD and they can't hear pursuits anymore and everything else, what news are they going to cover anymore? Well, except
it's going to take something at that scale.
Right. But LAPD always has 5 or 6 PIOs working, and because
how many?
They're a large department, and so, but Burbank. Burbank's in the dark right now when it comes to information, and
we are getting some information. It's just very slow because of his schedule. And I get that.
Say, once again, I'm not blaming the officer involved because he's being paid 4 days a week. He's not being paid 7 days a week like we are in the news business because we have no lives. Okay, enough of that. So Ross, okay, what did you get from the report? That's enough of. I'm sorry to use your rant time for later to a point, but what else did you get out of the report?
The other 312 pages.
Yeah.
Well, they do go through Burbank. People don't realize Burbank PD's policy on pursuits, on using a taser, on lethal weapons, on deadly weapons. And this is what the Department
and it talked about specific situations, and there was
right,
also
from a couple years
recommendations.
ago. They go back to a
Right.
couple years ago.
And there was recommendations about how they should change their policies.
Well, they have found that since they were hired on many years ago, Burbank is doing a very good job on some things. They, if you read the report and it's public, one of the things is they found that supervisors aren't supposed to, supervise their men, but they're getting involved in, let's say, using a firing of a taser or somebody that wants to resist arrest. And they have to separate. You got to have somebody separate from the incident. Craig, you might be able to share a little.
Yeah, well, the whole point is for a supervisor to supervise, to stand back and manage all the officers involved in a situation. There are going to be cases where they may need to get involved just for manpower issues, or if they're the only one there, obviously. But
or experience, too. Also, if you have a lot of younger officers in the field, you might need some of the experience sometimes to step in.
Right, but then also if you have a sergeant get involved in a big fight with other officers, so to speak, and the sergeant has a use of force. Well, now you may have to bring the lieutenant, the watch commander, out of the station to be the supervisor for this bigger group now, because you have a sergeant involved in the use of force. But the point of having a supervisor is to be the one standing outside the pile and managing what's going on with the officers, who's where, assigning different duties to officers, things like that, making sure everybody's within policy.
And what they said is body-worn cameras are telling them a lot more than in the past.
Well, they sure did fight that, didn't they, for a while?
Well, they did, but every department's doing it.
Right. It's become not a great thing for the public, or attitudes towards the public, but also to protect officers against accusations that are not true made by the public.
Right.
But mostly on the use of force. There's so many policies that they put into effect when you're arresting somebody and how they do it. I mean, I read one thing in the OIR that said that supervisor showed up and his voice screaming at his officers, and that's not, what's the word?
De-escalation.
De-escalation. That kind of added to it. And there were recommendations like that. There aren't big things. Burbank doesn't.
So are they analyzing specific events?
Almost everything. They look through everything, from phone calls to emails.
I think they talked about every use of force they did a report on, didn't they?
Oh yeah, there's a couple of pursuit
and there's
policies.
Policy about absolutely every tool in your belt. There's policy, and every time something happens, they get more restrictive. So,
and people several years ago, and I think most departments are doing it now, you can read Burbank's police policy on their homepage.
Oh yeah, it's public information.
It's what they wear, how they can use it, when they can use
once
it.
Again, you know what? That's transparency, and that's what we want with the radios. We want the transparency of the knowledge of what's going on. I to this day I don't understand, and thank goodness it's not happening in Burbank. But you see, there's been police officer involved shootings of suspects, and they come on. They'll tell the media, the spokesman, will say something, and a month later they have the body camera footage, and it's exactly not. It's not what they said it was. It's like, thank God we had that. Because sometimes the officer just covers themselves. It's something that. Transparency is so important when you have people who are authorized and allowed to carry a weapon.
Well, I think
you differ on that, or
no? I agree. Transparency is important, but you also have an element of that where a lot of times people want the information now, and it's just not all together yet. They want a statement. That statement may be proven wrong later through investigation, but it doesn't mean they were lying or hiding something up front.
Yeah, I don't think they're lying. I just think they're putting out the information given to them, and it wasn't good information.
Right, and that's part of the problem with people expecting and demanding information now.
Yeah,
is they may not be ready. True. People don't accept no comment yet, or it's under investigation. No, we want it now. We want it now.
Well, and that's
give them a minute.
If you read the OIR report, they even talk about that of when reports need to be made and need to be followed up. Sometimes the guys go on days off, and you need to have reports done before.
All your reports need to be done by the time you go home at the end of that shift, or
And I know LA just had an experience where they're finding some gang officers have turned off there. Well, those things looking from 22, OIR has not found that in Burbank.
Right.
Because
And that
this is where they
in
report
all likelihood be a violation of policy.
Exactly. And that's why it's harder with younger guys. I think Burbank, a lot of the older guys promoted up. They're not in the field. We have most of our force are young guys, and the sergeants are young too. So it's understanding the policy.
You get younger every day. Now that I'm retired, but there was always a thing.
How is that?
A young officer has 2 years on, and they go into some narcotics detective position or something like that.
How's it we get older and they get younger?
Well, that's like covering football games. I find.
You have to ask Google that.
Yeah, there you go.
So if you're interested in the report, it's online. You want to watch City Council, I guarantee that they will make it very clear. The chief will be there. The recommendations, which they will have to put into place, will be also discussed, and the department will have so many days to. Sometimes it's training, and the training doesn't happen overnight.
Now, how much do you think they would, in past hearings like this, how much time in the city council meeting will they actually spend?
A good hour.
They will.
Oh,
They'll go in depth.
I would think so.
That's why they combine both the police commission and the city council together, so they can hear it, so they don't have to do it twice, and so they can digest it all. But it could go. I guarantee.
So it's not like some things they just refer to it for the record, and you can look it up later if you want.
No, this one is going to be gone through because they work with the city attorney, city manager. They've had a very great relationship from when they were brought on, and at the end of the day, I will probably recommend that Burbank is doing a great job with our recommendations and staying in today,
especially if you compare them to other cities, other agencies.
And both Chief LaChasse and Chief Albanese have both done tremendous to make our department here a very professional department. And
it was always professional.
Well, but they've done a lot to clean up some of called the cowboys and all that type of thing. So, I think they're on the right track with this stuff. Let's move on after
because the next topic they get to talk about should be just as fun.
Yeah, because of course, the Raising Cane situation, they're going to have a public hearing on the conversion of existing businesses with drive-through and new and existing drive-through restaurants. So they're going to talk about the businesses that are capable of putting in drive-throughs, what the policy should be, if they need to get conditional use permits, what the hours should be.
How close they should be to thoroughfares.
Yeah, they're going to do the entire, and put in all kinds of rules and restrictions.
Well, people don't realize, I read that report pretty thorough, and it includes a drive-through through your Rite Aid, the drive-through through Save on CVS.
By the way, drive-through a Rite Aid anymore hasn't been used in years.
And it hasn't been Save On
Right. I'm dating myself.
Since typewriters typed in pencil.
CVS, but there's other places other than restaurants.
Right. Potential
the dairy
places.
at Magnolia.
Right. Well, that's the thing is they need to consider this when they're signing off on the plans for a new business.
Right.
Because I'm familiar with several openings of specifically Raising Cane's restaurants, and they're all on big thoroughfares, and it causes a problem every time one opens because whatever city they're in allowed them to open up this drive-through right on a thoroughfare.
Well, it's not they allowed them to; they had no choice.
Well, on some
the Raising Cane's, the one in Burbank, they had no choice.
You're talking Burbank.
When I was signing off on plans, I picked that out as a problem, and it still went through. So, where I had the opportunity to stop the process,
so people in Burbank
overruled.
Say the wheels of government turn very slowly. Raising Cane's have been open a couple years now here in Burbank,
right?
And this has been on the books to talk about this for many, many months and how they're going to move forward. So,
well, that's good because lawyers have to figure out all the legal ramifications, how to write an ordinance and what they can do legally and not legally. And so it's.
And I know this is kind of a general topic for future restaurants like this, but in this particular case, on a thoroughfare like that, when the traffic causes such an issue that you have to put that kind of signage in the middle of the road, so people don't turn left. And they still do.
Oh, they do.
All over but you've got basically an entire median strip of dividers and blockers and signs and do not turn, in the middle. That's a sign that there's a problem. If the city has to go through the expense
Well,
to
if you
put
talk
that
about
much
that,
up.
well, look at the problem with the Target on Hollywood Way. They've had to do the same thing there. Put up all kinds of barriers and signs so people don't make a left.
Well, and Porto's has had to do it too.
Right.
And people just knock their sign over.
Yes.
What I find several years ago, we had city management that would go with the attitude, let's go with it until it causes a problem. And then they get
and they'll be out of office.
Yep.
By
They'll
the
be
time it comes
retired.
around, they'll be long gone.
Yep.
Well,
And they'll be in the drive-thru at Raising Cane.
finally, the last thing on the agenda is council member Zezette Mullins brought up they wanted a issue on discussing the Mayor Anthony's recent conduct. And it's, basically they want to understand, what the purpose, how, council members should treat each other. But the problem with the ordinance is there's nothing in provision. It says how we elect a mayor, I shouldn't say elect, but how a mayor is chosen every year by the city council members, but not how a mayor is removed and another one appointed during that 1 year period. So there's no rules in the charter about removal, and she wants something brought back, and they want to talk about it, and it'll be a very interesting, we'll see what happens. I'm not sure where this is going to go. Now, Mayor Anthony has 2.5 months left. Let's see, October, November. Yeah, 2.5 months left before a new mayor is appointed.
But I think they want to not look only at mayor, but they're looking at removal or censorship of a city council member.
Right.
Now, you had asked Craig a few minutes ago, how long will they talk about got to remember, public comment before all this?
Mm-hmm.
There are going to be a lot of people. There are people that have started petitions, recall petitions. There are people that are embarrassed by what was done. There are going to be a lot of people
Too
at
bad
oral
they didn't listen to the
communications.
podcast and hear his side of it, but that's regardless. And we've heard petitions being sent around the city, but we've not reported on those because they're not official petitions. They're just petitions that somebody's making up. Anybody can sign
Somebody's
them.
stirring the pot, right?
Yeah, anybody can sign them. I mean, a kid could sign one. Somebody who lives in North Hollywood could sign one because they're not official recall petitions taken out at the city clerk's office that require registered voters only to sign it.
And I honestly feel that people that are turning the drum, rattling the cage, also don't understand that if you do that, there's money involved. The city clerk has to count votes and validate all that. There is a charge to that.
Well, didn't you find out?
They might lose interest real quick.
Didn't you find out about the price of?
Oh, I did. I've heard, well, one, if they ever move forward, which they can't
Right, but
in the timeline, to run an election, anywhere from $250,000 to $300,000.
and you also found out they couldn't do it in time for March
Right.
because it'll take months to get they have to have months to do the
Correct.
petitions. So that means a special election. So
And that costs,
Right.
and the people don't understand, whoever brings in whatever, they are going to have to pay. I was told somewhere close to $100,000 for ballot,
to verify the names.
verify, stuff like that. Folks, don't we have more important business in the
Right.
city to move on to?
And in all honesty, his recall is in December, or I should say November of 2024, when if he decides to run for re-election, he'll be on the ballot again, and you as a citizen can say yes or no. So that's how you.
Right. Make the change with your vote.
And we're talking 1 year away. We're not talking.
But it did strike me as odd, though, when we were talking in our pre-production meeting, that somewhere in the city charter gives the city council the authority to appoint a mayor of their choosing,
Right.
but there's nothing in there about removing a mayor.
Yeah.
So if
Odd.
whatever they do tomorrow night is not going to be a snap of the fingers, if they do come up with a way to do that, remove a mayor or a council member, it's going to have to it'll come back.
And,
There's a lot of
Right.
stuff.
Well, it's a process.
and what I find interesting is I can't remember what year it was, but Stacy Murphy, who was caught with guns and cocaine.
She was not.
Well, in her residence,
boyfriend.
her residence,
Right.
had cocaine and guns, and he had a relationship with the North Hollywood boys who were involved in the Matthew Pavelka killing. Was indicted while she was on the council, and she decided at first she was just going to work from home and not go to the meetings. Then once she was indicted, she decided she resigned. Why wouldn't the council at that time? Because what if she said, I'm going to stay on the council? There was no way to remove her. Why at that time wouldn't the council have said, we need to put rules and regulations in for the future in case something like this were to happen again?
Need a safety valve.
And this is not, what Mayor Anthony did is not anything near what she did. I mean,
it's a morals issue.
It's more of a moral. Yeah, it's
not illegal.
Right. And it didn't have to do with any kind of embezzlement or anything. It was just, people.
Tomorrow night's meeting should be we've gone through what the week will be, or what the calendar, the council meeting. It's going to be what do you give me?
Depending on when you're listening to this, that meeting will be tomorrow night, which will be
6 p.m.
We have too many pages here.
6 p.m.
I'm looking for the date because I don't even know what the date is. The 26th.
Yep.
Yes, tomorrow.
September 26th. So that meeting, if you want to.
And if you're listening to this past the date, you can go back on YouTube and watch the replay of the meeting.
So it'll be an interesting meeting tomorrow night. I guarantee, like I said, I have listened to meetings for 45 years, and they literally say you have a hangover from listening to that much business. Those council members.
By the way, they just scheduled a special council meeting for October 4th.
But what was that for?
We didn't say. It just said a notice went out. There'll be a special meeting. We'll find out. We won't find out till Thursday.
You can take the bus there for free.
Yeah.
Moving on.
But the buses don't run that late in Burbank.
Oh, well.
So on Wednesday, let's move to Wednesday. The Senior Citizens Board will meet at 1 p.m. at the Dawson Center, and they're going to get an update about the Golden State Specific Plan and other senior services. The Burbank Audit Committee, which I didn't know we had a Burbank Audit Committee, but we have one, and they're going to meet at 3 p.m. at the Community Services Building.
Is that open to the public?
It has to be.
Oh.
They're going to audit something. The audits are going to be something, internal audits, let's see, a transient occupancy tax, and how much money is coming in, where's it going, I guess. The transient parking tax that we don't have. I didn't know we had a parking tax.
Oh, yeah. Everybody that drives into the airport.
Oh, okay. That'd be true.
Yeah.
So transient occupancy being like hotels and things like that.
Bed tax.
Temporary people who are staying in town.
No, not a bed tax. No. The airport has a tax, not a bed. That's not part of the bed tax. But there are special audits. It says a parking tax. But yeah, we do have a bed tax in Burbank, but it's not listed on here. Okay, Thursday, Chamber of Commerce. Our Burbank Chamber of Commerce is going to be hosting a new plastic reduction proposed ordinance meeting at the Hilton Garden Inn at 401 South San Fernando. This will be the first time the ordinance is actually presented to the public, and they're asking all the local restaurants to come with their little plastic items to show what they have and I guess what they can do. I'm still a little bit... this ordinance, I think, has a lot of loopholes and holes in it and problems.
Let me interject there.
Go ahead.
When it was originally brought to council, there were several restaurants that went, "What?"
Didn't know anything about it.
And no, they wanted they're proposing this plan, and yeah, they didn't know about it. So they asked, and again, I believe it was Council Members Mullins who said this needs to go back to the writing board, and they gave them 6 months. Now, January, you had 6 months. To me, that's July. We're now in September and October. They have done a lot of work. They have reworked the ordinance with the owners and quite a few of the restaurants. They've rewritten it, and they're now proposing it, and that's why they want these restaurants to meet.
Like I said in the past, I don't want to get into a lot of it, but in the past I said, if it's not if somebody can go across the street to Patty's in North Hollywood and not have to pay extra charges, that's going to hurt a Burbank restaurant. But I also say this. One of the things I saw was you can't have any disposable items if you have 30 or more people can sit in your restaurant. Now, I got to be honest, I don't know what the capacity of McDonald's or Burger King is, but if it's 30 people, that means no plastic forks, no plastic spoons or anything else. They have to have silverware because they seat more than 30 people. And that's what the ordinance says. So I think there's a lot of, I can't see McDonald's having a dishwasher and plastic, and metal forks and spoons.
Well, but McDonald's was the one that last week was on all the news stations
because they got rid of their.
They're getting rid of fountain drinks, and you will be served. An employee will bring you your meal to your table.
And what's the time frame for that?
Well, it's 10 years, but they're putting the wheels in motion to what the requirement is.
I don't think we mentioned the time of that meeting. It goes from 9 to 10:30 a.m.
Yes, 9 to 10:30 a.m. So, and I guess a lot of restaurants will be there to.
I was told
they're all involved. This has an impact on every single one of them.
There are how many restaurants in Burbank, and how many are going to be?
About 395, but I've told a lot. That's why they're doing it there. And if 401 South San Fernando, it's right on the corner of Verdugo and San Fernando. They do have underground parking, so you don't have to pay for parking. There's a lot of street parking. I've been asked to be there to kind of report on it and shoot pictures of it. So we'll see.
Okay.
I have to be up at what time?
Also on Thursday. Oh, you just won't go to bed. Also on Thursday, the Retirement Plans Committee will meet at 2 p.m. in the Community Services Building. They're going to talk about investment and plan administration updates. And they're going to have the State of the Schools. It's going to be held in North Hollywood at the Federal on Lancashire at 5 p.m. So they've moved it to North Hollywood from Burbank because I guess they had a great deal on the location.
And what's the Federal? You were talking about that earlier, but I didn't catch it.
It was a federal bank many years ago. It's been made into a commercial building with catering, a bar.
Oh, like an event?
Yeah,
an event
exactly.
Venue. Okay.
Multi-story right at the corner, if I'm right, like Chandler and Lancashire, right in that NoHo area.
Okay, moving on to the weekend.
Skipping Friday. Because we have nothing on Friday.
There's nothing on Friday.
There is a football game, I'm told, but I'm not sure.
We've canceled Friday. I hate to tell you
that'd be nice.
Friday's been canceled due to lack of interest.
Wow.
So sorry about that, everybody. But
I was so looking forward to Friday.
On the weekend, Magnolia is going to be closed from First Street to San Fernando on the eastbound lane, so an air conditioner can be put in at the AMC roof from 6 a.m. to about noon. So once again, I'm not sure. Hopefully the construction on Olive will be done by then. If not, you're going to have construction on Magnolia and construction on Olive.
Well, I think the warning for the Magnolia, the sidewalk where there's a couple of little, that cookie store or cake store.
I want to stop by there and get something.
Well, that'll be closed.
You can't park there.
Yes, you can park in front of it.
Oh, there's always open spots there, huh?
Yep.
Not the times I drove by there, wasn't.
It'll be closed Saturday.
It's not open the times you go by.
Yeah, that's true.
So
okay, I never can find parking in front of that place. It's always street parking is always taken up. Sustainable Burbank, our Sustainable Burbank Commission. We love those guys. They're holding an Electrify event from 10:30 to 11:30 at the Community Services Building, and you can learn about cooking on an induction surface with a live cooking demonstration. We discuss the health and economics of new buildings going all electric and the crucial need to move away from fossil fuels. Very important. Pick up information on how to electrify our homes and businesses using Burbank Water and Power rebate program incentives. Although, I find the one thing they don't have any incentives on, solar power. No incentives in Burbank to move to solar power, which I always find interesting. Is that because if they all went to solar power, we wouldn't need a Burbank Water and Power anymore? Or if you just call it Burbank Water, wouldn't need power if we all went solar. Just saying.
Questions.
Also, Celia's, am I saying that correctly, Ross? Celia's Cafe has a ribbon cutting at 11 a.m. at 3511 Magnolia. Ashley did a nice story on our website last week about the new business, and stop by there at 11 a.m. and you can see Ross taking a picture and buy something at the cafe and sample their foods.
Well, that used to be Healthy Bites,
and they don't have a little store in there also.
Well, there was a store, but Healthy Bites, the new people went in, cleared it all out, put in new tables. They have a gorgeous patio with a TV in the back. They have fans and air conditioning back there. They want to host events and so forth. So it should be, and I'm told Mediterranean food and a lot of good stuff.
Okay. Well, Burbank's Arts Fall Festival is going to be held at Johnny Carson Park at 4 p.m. We're going to have live performances, music, art, and a 30th anniversary screening of The Nightmare Before Christmas.
Who did that?
One question. Is Tim Burton going to be there?
I would highly doubt it.
Oh, geez.
Well, you know what's weird? Because the tickets and the email that they put out had some wording that he is either hosting some part of it or something and wanted an accounting of how many people there are. So they asked for RSVP.
Yeah, so if you want to go to this on Saturday, it says you have to register on the city's website if you'd like to attend.
Now, I want to know, putting a movie projector, I'm told it's going to start at 7:30 or 8, which is now kind of getting dark.
That'll be darker. It started at 7, I think it said.
Okay.
My question is this, though. So if you don't register, how are they going to stop you from walking into Johnny Carson? There's no fences there.
Maybe there will be.
Right.
Well, that alone will be
Expensive?
very expensive. And then finally, we have at 5:30, the Burbank High School class of 1973 will be having their reunion at the Elks Lodge on Hollywood Way.
And they were still the Bulldogs.
They were and still are
Right.
the Bulldogs.
Always and forever.
So that leaves us with only one thing. And
The real reason everybody's here.
And that is Ross's rant. So, Ross, the airways are yours.
Well, I look at how long we've been doing this podcast, so I'll keep it short. But it's like 2 words. Well, I'm going to make it into 4 words. What the hell's going on with the gas prices? This is ridiculous. $7 a gallon. You know, to get from uptown to downtown Burbank or uptown to Middletown or the Media District to the uptown over to the Golden State area, it costs you a gosh darn gas tank.
In what you're driving.
Well, that is true. I guess, they want everybody to drive one of those EV vehicles or solar vehicles. But this is kind of getting ridiculous, folks. I'm sorry. That's my rant.
It is. I will tell you, I'll add on to that. When I was in Palm Springs on assignment, hard at work, last week, you'd go by a gas station in downtown Palm Springs, and let's say premium. It was $6.99 a gallon. You drive a few miles down the road into Palm Desert, $5.99. $1 difference from one city to the next going through the Coachella Valley there. And I have no idea if that means that's all taxes or what, but that's
now I have
insane. How did those prices sneak up on us again? Weren't they going down?
I have no immediate facts to back this up, but I know back in the day, if you had a gas station and it was near a freeway off-ramp or on-ramp,
it was
always more expensive.
It would always be at least 50 cents to $1 higher than it would be if you're in the middle of the city, not near a highway. Because you
always.
Bismarck and San Fernando, off the 5 there, 10 cents higher a gallon. It's over $7.
Yeah, so I'm not.
And my part of the rant is when they get you in with one rate for gas, they don't tell you that's the cash rate. If you want to use a credit card, it's 10% more.
It's funny. It was years ago. ARCO went from having credit cards to saying we're cash only now, and we're going to reduce our rates because of that.
And it was debit cards, right? You could use a debit card at the pump.
And what happened, they found, was that people weren't filling their tanks up because they weren't carrying around $70, $80, $90 in cash. So they said, we'll start taking credit cards again. And guess what? Their rates are now back up with everybody else's.
Yeah. You get at these gas stations like Chevron and stuff, you get a discount if you pay in cash or use your Chevron credit card.
What I can't figure out, though, is when something happens, or they have a refinery fire or somebody in the Middle East burps or something, suddenly the gas prices all go up the next day. There's no by the time by the time you buy it and sell it, before it's even pumped out of the ground,
it's all the price of oil.
It goes up in the gas station. They pay for one price, but they charge a higher price because I used
to work in a city that actually had at the time an ExxonMobil refinery in it, and at the corner of the thoroughfares, at the corner of the refinery was a mobile gas station. You'd think that would be the cheapest one around.
Yeah, they don't pump it far.
Nope. Most expensive mobile station anywhere.
Well,
that's now just a little grass area.
I find also funny is around maybe May every year, the gas prices always go up 10, 15 cents. They go, well, we're going to do our summer blend now, and it's always more expensive.
All the additives and stuff say they put in it.
Why don't they, when the summer blend ends, why doesn't it go down 10 or 15
I just
cents?
heard that guy from AAA, Freddie Freeloader, or whatever his name is, that gets on every channel, and he says the gas stations are now going to go to their winter blend. We got summer blend, we got winter blend.
Yeah, well, that's all more expensive.
But,
Thank you.
But the winter blend is supposed to be cheaper, but yet they don't lower the price. But they'll raise it and say, "Oh, we're doing the summer blend now." So you know what it is? Basically, they'll raise the gas prices $2. Everybody's outraged. They'll lower them down $1, and now we're happy just to pay because we're only paying $1 more now instead of $2 more.
Jack the price up $2.
Yeah.
Take $1 off and tell them it's a bargain.
Ross, sorry to step on your rant, but I think we're all.
I'm going to close with this one.
Just added to the rant.
We do get mail, and David Geffen, who's one of our listeners.
Yes.
We are working, folks, on the podcast. David, you did give us a couple more to add to the list.
David, the DreamWorks guy?
Restaurant. We're going to do a Burbank.
The restaurants that used to be in Burbank.
We're going to do everything. It's going to be Burbank.
Bear Pit, Copper Penny, La Salsa. We got over 100.
Closed former restaurants.
Yeah, this is going to be a podcast. We're going to do a series called Burbank Back in the Day, and we're going to start off with the restaurant edition, and we're going to actually break
the restaurants that were.
Yeah, we're going to do. And it will be because something always pops
in. The scary part is the day that we put this on the air, I guarantee by that weekend
the list will be longer.
Yep, it's sad.
Yeah,
it's really sad. I hear we're going to lose a couple more restaurants in town this next week.
I missed Chow Christina.
Chow Christina, Moore's Deli, Pirio's, Chopsticks, Sizzler, Whiskey Bend. I can
Don't give it all away. Don't give it all away.
And by the way, he confirmed what I said last week. There were 2 Kenny Rogers roasters.
Yep.
So it was Kenny Rogers roasters before it became. No, it was after it was the Juicy Harvey's down here on
Boston Chicken
on Olive.
Oh, Boston right here, Market.
Boston Market.
Boston
Market. There you go.
And before that was Café Francois, and before that it was Roy Rogers roast beef sandwiches.
Where Roy Rogers himself.
King Swede Smorgasbord.
There's no truth to the rumor that Trigger was in the menu.
Well, that will do for the week that was.
For Trigger.
The week that will be for September 25th. Guys, I know we ran real long tonight. I'm afraid after tomorrow night's council meeting, we might have to go and do a 2-part show. I don't know. Can we go to Patty's 2 weeks in a row?
We might have to take a break in the middle during the commercial.
Good, because if we don't get something soon, I'm filling the bucket below me.
Whoa. Okay, TMI.
Okay.
TMI. And on that note, until next week.
Okay, we will talk to you next week. Once again, thanks everybody for listening. We appreciate it. And once again, we'll talk to you next Monday. Thank you very much for listening.
Bye-bye.
My Burbank Talks would like to thank all of my Burbank's advertisers for their continued support. Burbank Water and Power, Cusimano Real Estate Group, UME Credit Union, the Burbank Chamber of Commerce, Gain Credit Union, Providence St. Joseph Medical Center, Community Chevrolet, Media City Credit Union, UCLA Health, Tequila's Cantina and Grill, UPS Store on 3rd Street, and Hill Street Cafe.